Alright, ladies and gentlemen, we are now seeing the first driver come out of the pit lane, and that's going to be Calzoner, started on his outlap. Also out on track now we have El Yoy, all of these drivers opting to start on the soft tire compound. We also have XRL Urtica out on his outlap now as well, following Calzoner. Looking like he's trying to warm up those tires before the start of his hot lap. Oh, a little bit of a back end step out as he's coming into the final turn, crosses the line to start his lap. Looking very strong run, topping out at over 200 miles an hour, 8th gear. Slowing now for turn 1. A lot of these drivers in turn 1 have been seeing turn 1 into turn 2 have been seeing the back end step out a little bit. That's definitely not the case with Calzoner. We're going to look at his sector 1 time here momentarily. Also coming into traffic, XR Alman clearing the racing line for him. Calzoner looking very strong through sector 1 as he comes into sector 2. I'm going to go ahead and pull off of him for a moment and go to XRL Urtica, who's now coming around the final turn, start his outlap, getting up onto the curbing a bit, taking that just a touch wide. And it appears, ladies and gentlemen, that I have caught the audio glitch. All right, moving up to El Yoy in the Haas, as he is now in sector 2. Looks like we have a yellow flag in sector 3. Let's see where that came from real quick. Not quite sure. Looking like that may have been Calzoner had caught that yellow flag. And it's looking like Calzoner is going to come across the line somewhere in the 136s with a 136.512 for posting the fastest lap of qualifying on the medium compound. That being a fairly decent time on the medium compound, although he'll be working hard to bring that time down significantly. But for a first lap on the mediums, fairly respectable time. And El Yoy posting a 127.864 on the soft tire compound. That's more in the range that we're looking to see. I'm willing to bet that Calzoner on that second lap is going to come around with a high 128, possibly low 129 lap time on that medium compound. Coming around to XRL Mon. Just posted a purple sector 1 on pace to possibly beat El Yoy's lap of 127.864. XRL Urtica posting a 128.010 on the medium compound. Definitely looking to pose a threat to El Yoy. Coming down the grid to XRL Low as he rounds the final turn on his outlap to start his hot lap, also on the medium tire compound. Just over 12 minutes remaining to go in qualifying. Qualifying now a third of the way over. Low looking very strong as he transits sector 1, looking to see what his sector time is here. He's going to come out with a 28.448 for Sector 1. Definitely on par with the types of times that he runs. Drop down the grid to Ryan Hurricane as he comes into the high speed right-hander, skirting the curb. As a lot of you know, in this year's game, Sector 12 has been the curve of death for a lot of drivers here at Bahrain. Very easy to have the back end step out. And Ryan Hurricane getting ready to start his fast lap. Coming back up the grid to XRL Mon, posting a Sector 2 time of 27.963. It's good enough for Purple Sector. Could very well be on pace to beat El Yoy's lap again on that medium tire compound. The medium tire compound seeming to be the preferred compound here at Bahrain. In today's earlier F2 race, drivers were posting extremely fast times, and El Yoy is going to come across with an astonishing 127.349. Unseating El Yoy from pole position, undercutting him by nearly half a second on the medium compound. And a quick rundown of our qualifying times so far. We have XRL Mon on pole with a 127.349. El Yoy in P2 with a 127.864, XRL Urtica with a 128.010, Calzona with a 128.168, and XRL Low with a 128.587. These drivers keeping these times fairly close. All running within a half a second of each other. Positions 4 and 5 also running within half a second of each other. We could expect to see a lot of action at the front of the grid. And we also now have Ryan Hurricane posting a 127.978 also on the medium tire compound. I'm going to go ahead, go down to P7, Anthony Waddington, who has come back into the pit lane. We're going to go to P9, Fat Wardo 10. I'm not quite sure what happened. Looking at Wardo potentially had a spin. His lap time up well north of 3 minutes. I'm not quite sure what's going on with the McLaren. But knowing Fat Wardo and his driving ability, we can expect to see that time come down significantly. XRL Low yielding the racing line as Fat Wardo comes around in sector 1. It'll be interesting to see what he's able to accomplish. Oh, big lockup on the part of Fat Wardo. Alright, and looking at some slight improvement in these times. Ryan Hurricane coming up to a 127.570, XRL Urtica with a 127.673, El Yoy now down into P4 with a 127.864, XRL Low with a 128.107, and Calzona with a 128.168. Competition definitely heating up between XRL Low and Calzona. And coming down to XRL Zola, who is now transiting through Sector 2 on the medium compound as well. We have a yellow flag in Sector 3. Not sure who was directly responsible for that. Okay, following Zola here on his lap for Following Zola on his lap here for just a bit as he comes around the fast right-hander, taking a very wide exit out of turn 12. That again, turn 12 being very troublesome for these drivers in preseason testing as well as qualifying here today. All right, Calzoner now posting a 126.471. Zola's going to come across with a 129.418, good enough for P7. Wardo coming across with a 127.668, good enough for P4, unseating El Yoy out of the top 5. Noteworthy is the fact that Calzoner and El Yoy are the only two drivers that have come out thus far with the soft tire compound, and Calzoner now posting with that 126.471. That's going to be good enough for pole position for him. Right now, the front row start is looking like Calzoner and XR Alman. Ryan Hurricane following closely in third. Fat Wardo up into fourth. XRL Urtica P5. El Yoy P6. XRL Low P7. And Zola now in P8. Waddington on his starting his flying lap. We're gonna ride on board with him and see what he's able to accomplish. Waddington coming a bit wide on the exit. However, he's got a purple sector 1. Could be on pace to make a run on Calzoner here for pole if he can continue to hold this lap together. Now we've seen Waddington in X2 and X1 so many times be able to pull off some absolutely astonishing laps. I have every confidence that Waddington will be able to get and hold on to pole if he keeps taking the solid line that we're seeing him run right now. So far, very clean sector 2. Oh, and Waddington's around, caught the curb on the inside of sector 12. As I've said so many times, turn 12 being a real source of frustration for these drivers. It's so easy if you catch just a little bit of that curb for the back end to slip out. Waddington, however, very quick to recover. That is, however, going to cause his lap to be very substandard, as he's now opted to come into the pit lane, likely to put on a fresh set of softs or possibly even go to the medium tire compound. Following Smoothie 25 on his out lap, now starting his hot lap, also on the medium tire compound. A little wide on the entry into turn 2. Just over 3 minutes going in this qualifying session. Smooth now with a purple sector 1 could additionally again be one of those drivers that's on pace to possibly unseat Calzoner from pole with 3 minutes to go, with less than 3 minutes to go in this qualifying session. These drivers definitely going to be giving it their all to try to set themselves up in a good position on grid to be able to take a run at a race win or podium. We have a yellow flag in sector 3. Looks like El Yoy on a bit of a flyer here. Now 4/10 up on his lap. Definitely looking to make the run on Calzoner. We're going to ride along with him here momentarily, see what he's able to accomplish. Taking an absolutely brilliant line into the final turn, ladies and gentlemen. I think he may do it. Oh, and he's going to be just a second off, but that is going to be good enough to bring him up into P3 with a 127.527. Looks like Smooth having a little bit of difficulty coming into Sector 1, and El Yoy taking a very narrow line through Turn 3. I wouldn't be surprised if that was just a momentary break in concentration. I see now that Waddington has retired from session, opting to go with a back of the grid start, be that by virtue of possibly not being able to put a solid lap together, and LV6 Beastian has momentarily dropped from session. Again, that's another issue that has been plaguing some drivers in F1 2021. We recently got the 1.04 patch that has addressed some of the lobby issues for these drivers. Patch level 1.05 expected to come out within the next week or so. That's going to help stabilize the lobbies a bit. And we have a yellow flag in Sector 3. And it looks like Ryan Hurricane has retired from session along with Young Maneuver, content to hold on to P4 and P5. XRL Urtica has retired as well. We're now following on board with XRL Low, who currently has a 128.107 with just over 30 seconds to go in session. These drivers looking to get around, get back around and get a better time posted so they can be in a much better position. I now see that LV6 Beastian has rejoined the session, and Waddington now saying in the stream chat that he did catch a little bit of a spin. Unfortunately, I was not able to. Actually, I apologize. I think I did catch that. I think I did catch that on stream. It looks like, as I said earlier, it looks like he did catch the inside of the turn 12 curving. And as I've said so many times, that turn is absolutely deadly for these drivers. And now with qualifying over, it looks like our grid is going to be starting P1's Calzoner, P2 XR Alman rounding out the first row. P3 and P4 held by El Yoy and Young Maneuver respectively starting row 2. Row 3 is going to be Ryan Hurricane and Fat Wardo. Row 4 is going to be XRL Urtica and XRL Low. Row 5 is going to be XRL Zola and Smoothie 25, and rounding out the grid in row 6 is going to be Waddington and Level 6 Beastian, and Calzoner now posting a 126.321 to very firmly cement him on pole. Ladies and gentlemen, this is your starting grid. All right, and ladies and gentlemen, here's our starting grid. As you can see everywhere, virtually the entire field running no more than just over 2 seconds 2 seconds between pole position and P10. The only two drivers that we do not have an interval time for are going to be Anthony Waddington and Level 6 Beastian. This race will get underway in just under 5 minutes time. And again, reminding those of you, if this is your first time watching the Xtreme Xtreme Racing Leagues. We encourage you to go ahead and give the channel a follow, as well as a subscription. I'd like to take a moment to recognize the administrative team and the league owner Cesar Lopez for creating this league for us all to race in. It's always a joy to commentate the Xtreme Racing League, and I look forward to providing you some solid commentary tonight. I'm going to go ahead and take just a couple minutes break before the start of the race, scheduled to go now in about 4 minutes time. So I will return in just a moment. And just a quick notation from race control, we have confirmed that this will be a dry session throughout. Just a quick reminder to our viewers as well. Make sure you tune in this weekend, Saturday and Sunday, as we will have our X1, X2, X3, and our realistic tier all running events this weekend as well. So make sure you tune in so you can see more great racing from the Xtreme Racing Leagues. Getting ready to go here in just a few moments. Time, the driver should be forming up on the grid here shortly. Predictions for this race: I'm looking for Calzoner to continue to put on a strong performance. XRL Zola, also a standout in this session. Looking for him to put on a strong showing as well. Anthony Waddington, if he can smooth out the issues in turn 12, he could be a contender as well, along with XRL Low, all some extremely strong competitors. One driver I would like to make special note of is level 6 Beastian. From the start of last season through to this season, I've seen him make a lot of strides as a driver. Also looking for him potentially to be a come from behind favorite. And ladies and gentlemen, the timer has now started. Expecting to see these drivers forming up on the grid as the timer continues to count down. I want to take a moment to wish all these drivers the best of luck in what is sure to be a very challenging session. All right, ladies and gentlemen, it all comes down to this moment, the inaugural race of the XNA season. We are now on the grid. We've got 5, 3, 2, 1, and it is lights out and away we go. Calzoner off to a very early start, opening up a quarter of a second interval on XR Alman. Calzoner taking a little bit wider line into turn 1, pulling out now to three quarters of a second. Followed by XR Oman, El Yoy, and here we see the predicted pit strategy. First stop for the hard tires coming on lap 12 or 13. And Calzoner posting a purple sector 1. Coming back to XR Oman, Ryan Hurricane, El Yoy and Young Maneuver and XRL Urtica in a very tight battle for positions 4, 5, and 6. Coming back to XRL Low and Fat Wardo in a position. We can see that DRS train already starting to form up. DRS expected to open up on lap 3, and that, for those of you that are not aware, is the drag reduction system. What that enables is once race control opens up accessibility to DRS, once a driver closes, oh my! And Fat Wardo is off, and DNF looks like he struck the inside wall, taking off the left front tire, and that is going to bring out our first virtual safety car of the session. We'll slowly see these drivers starting to form back up. Very unfortunate situation for Wardo there. Looks like he caught the lip of the curb, and that's going to take the first of both McLarens out of session. We're going to come back up to Calzoner as we see these drivers slowly start to form back up. Again, very unfortunate situation for Wardo there. Oh, and XRL Urtica has received a drive-through penalty for speeding under virtual safety car. Now, one thing to keep aware for those of you that are new to F1, you are expected to maintain what's called delta pacing under the virtual safety car, which means you cannot exceed a preset pace, and if you do, you will receive a penalty. So very unfortunate for Urtica, as we are now back under green conditions. Calzoner pulling out to a 1-second lead over XR Alman. Closest battle on the track is going to be between El Yoy and Young Maneuver. El Yoy trying very hard to stay on the gearbox of Young Maneuver. Coming back, we see Waddington and Urtica also in a very close battle. Waddington having a bit of a look on Urtica. He's going to pull out to the right-hand side, and he is going to overtake Urtica for P6. We now see that Ryan Hurricane has posted a 133.679 on the medium compound. Seeing several position changes in the midfield, very pitched battle. Oh, what's happening? El Yoy and Young Maneuver are both pitting for presumably to serve those drive-through penalties. Urtica looking to gain that position back from Waddington, fighting for P4 and P5. Calzoner pulling out a significant chunk of time on XR Alman, out to 1.5 seconds. Coming back through the field. Next closest battle is going to be between Low and Urtica. That AlphaTauri looking to position itself against Urtica to try to gain some of that time back. Ryan Hurricane closing to within striking distance of XR Alman, now within 7/10 of a second, anticipating that when DRS opens up, he's going to go ahead and make his move. Starting to see a bit of a spread come up in the field. Calzoner now posting a 130.360 for the fastest lap of the race. Very close battle between Ryan Hurricane and XR Alman, the AlphaTauri and the AlphaTauri and the Aston Martin fighting for position here. A very, very slight lockup from Ryan Hurricane coming into the Sector 2 hairpin. Ryan now closing to within 5/10 of a second on XRL Mon. Looks like he's trying to put a little bit of pressure on him, possibly force that mistake in turn 12. We're going to take a very brief look at the tire compounds that these drivers are on. We have three drivers presently on the soft tire compound, the remainder of the field on the medium tire compound, and we see that Ryan Hurricane does now have DRS. He's going to go ahead and make that run on him, looking to pull out to the left-hand side, and Ryan Hurricane is going to overtake XRL Mon for P2, and oh no, what's this? XRL Mon has got the switchback. He's going to go ahead and claim back P2. Ryan's certainly not going to be happy about that. Possibly looking for an outside move here at the turn. Not quite enough, but he could pose a significant challenge to him through sector 2 as he's just continuing to apply pressure on XRL Mon. Very expert, very skilled driving. Oh, and Mon goes wide. Looks like he may have lagged out, or that may have been a possible reset to track. Steward's definitely going to be taking a look at a potential reset to track, or it may also, with some of the new settings in the game, sometimes the game will force a reset to track. That definitely going to be something that the stewards will take a look at. Moving back to the action between level 6 Beastian coming extremely wide off track. Looks like for a moment he had a bit of a battle with XRL Zola. Ryan Hurricane just continuing to apply pressure to XRL Mon, opening up DRS. He's going to make a move to the inside on the main straight, and he's going to get him. And I do think this time he is going to make that move stick, as he's now opened up a 4/10 of a second gap, and he is going to make that move stick into turn 1. So Ryan Hurricane now holding on to P2. Calzoner still holding out a 2-second lead over Ryan Hurricane. Coming back to the rear of the field for a moment, we have El Yoy has DRS opened up on XRL Ertica. XRL Ertica just throwing sparks at him, and El Yoy coming to within 5/10 of a second, as we expect to see in this next DRS zone, that he will attempt to make another move on Ertica. So we're now 6 laps into this 29-lap affair. Looking at 6 more laps before the pit window opens up, and these drivers may opt to go to the hard tire. These drivers on the mediums may opt to go to the hard tire compound, expecting the drivers on the soft tire compound to transition onto the mediums. Young Maneuver taking a look on level 6 Beastian as they make the transition into the midpoint of sector 2. The fast right-hander. Young Maneuver momentarily letting out of the throttle here. Level 6 Beastian opening that gap up to 9/10 of a second now over Young Maneuver. XRL Mon now trying to chase down Ryan Hurricane, desperate to get P2 back to put himself in a position to possibly make a run at Calzoner. So we see Calzoner leading the pack, and we have a yellow flag in Sector 2, and it looks like... Let's see if we can figure out who's come off. Young Maneuver all over the gearbox, a level 6 Beastian, pulling out to the left-hand side. He's going to come in very tight and forcing level 6 Beastian just a bit wide. And Young Maneuver now firmly in control of P7. Urtica not far behind, observing the battle between level 6 Beastian and Young Maneuver, biding his time, looking for one of these drivers to make a mistake that could possibly allow him a double overtake for P7. Anthony Waddington now up into P4 at P3, and it looks like Mon has spun it and having problems. Those rear tires heating up significantly. It looks like he may have caught the lip of either the inside or outside curb at the exit to Sector 1. Ryan Hurricane now closing to within 0.8 of a second of Calzoner. Calzoner could potentially be looking at that soft tire compound starting to die off, and that indeed opening the door for Ryan Hurricane to make a run on him as we slowly see that interval time ticking down, anticipating that Calzoner may be coming. And Calzoner is going to make the move into the pits, allowing Ryan Hurricane to slide firmly into P1. Calzoner opting to more than likely go to the medium tire compound, although I wouldn't be surprised if and he's actually going to put on the hard tire compound, which is not a surprising move for him. That may potentially allow him to run to the end of this event. Right, riding on board with Anthony Waddington, who had initially had some difficulties in qualifying, but has now managed to slide up into P2. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to take a look at time penalties here for a moment. No drivers having yet received any time penalties. Things looking fairly smooth. Tire wear right on the line for most of these drivers. Field now looking pretty spread out as well. Fastest lap as it stands is going to be Anthony Waddington with a 129.476. Ryan Hurricane now holding on to a commanding 2-second lead. Significant gap between Anthony Waddington and XRL Low, standing at 14 seconds. Again, this field very well spaced out. Smooth opting to come into the pits. I'm willing to make the bet that he's going to go to the hard tire compound as well, and indeed he does. Waddington now closing the gap to 1.5 seconds on Ryan Hurricane. Waddington now closed the gap to 1.2 seconds on Ryan Hurricane. We're going to go ahead and ride on board with Waddington for a few moments. Waddington now closing that gap to just over 1.2 seconds. See what Ryan does here is he takes a moderately tight line into turn 1, cutting the curb of turn 2. Very smooth acceleration through turn 3. Not giving Waddington many opportunities to gain time, so it's very important that Waddington capitalizes on what opportunities he does have. As Ryan, at this point, looking like he may possibly try to run away with this if he can continue to open up that gap. That being the closest battle on track right now. Stepping back through the field, we have XRL Low in P3, Calzoner in P4, Young Maneuver in P5, XRL Urtica looking like he's attempting to close some time on Young Maneuver here. We will definitely keep a very close eye on that battle, as Urtica does have most of his ERS remaining, so he could at any point, if he can get within DRS range, at any point he could make a bit of a run on Young Maneuver. Coming back to XRL Mon with an 8-second gap separating him and P6. Smooth with a 4-second gap separating him and Mon. El Yoy, 12.5 seconds back of Smooth, and Zola, roughly 6.5 seconds back of El Yoy, and level 6 Beastian, 12 seconds back of XRL Zola, also with a 3-second time penalty for track limits. Oh, and Waddington is now close to within half a second of Ryan Hurricane, looking to make a run on him. Unfortunate thing is he looks to have depleted most of his energy reserve system in that effort to get close to Ryan Hurricane. It would be interesting to see what he does here. Seems like he's looking to put pressure on Ryan Hurricane and possibly force the mistake. Maybe try to force a lockup in the braking zone, but Ryan holds fast and is able to maintain that line. However, Waddington does have DRS now as they come into the entrance of turn 11, accelerating through and into turn 12. Ryan forced to take a slightly wider line. Waddington coming dangerously close to catching that inside curb, as did happen to him in qualifying. However, he is maintaining less than a half a second gap between him and Ryan. This has meant forcing Ryan Hurricane to stress his tires, seeing what he's able to do, and both these drivers opting to come into the pit lane now to potentially switch over to the hard tire compound. Timing absolutely critical. If Calzoner can get around quickly enough, he could potentially become our new race leader. And accelerating rapidly through, and the big question is he going to beat them out? He's got one. He's got two. Very dangerous move coming into turn 1, but he is going to snatch away. Pole from Ryan Hurricane. Oh no, Ryan's coming back on the inside. Very tight battle, less than a tenth of a second gap between them. It's all a matter of how far Calzoner's wanting to push this going into turn 1. Very pitched battle, and Waddington's now holding on to pole. Very hotly contested battles. We step back into P3. Ryan taking a look on the outside of Calzoner, and he is going to overtake Calzoner coming out of the turn to hold on to P2. Calzoner dropping back into P3. Going to very closely monitor this battle. Calzoner looking for an inside move on Ryan Hurricane, which has allowed Waddington opened up a significant gap. Calzone is going to pull out to the left-hand side and overtake Ryan Hurricane for P2, looking to get back into striking distance of Anthony Waddington. Anthony's still continuing to open up that gap, now at just over a second and 2/10. Ryan Hurricane continuing to stay right on the gearbox of Calzone, using ERS where possible to maintain his delta to close that lap in. Oh, and looks like the back end of Calzone snapped out for just a moment, and Ryan Hurricane's going to come back into P2. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to stay with this action. It looks like it's heating up. Ryan Hurricane closing the gap to within 7/10 of a second on Anthony Waddington. Oh, Waddington, looks like Ryan's trying to have a look on Waddington here. Waddington milking that Haas machine for all it's worth. Just back from P3, we're seeing where Ryan Hurricane is just simply staying all over Waddington. Waddington back end stepping out momentarily. Ryan Hurricane taking a very wide line. He's going to very expertly slide past Waddington. Waddington's going to take it back on the inside. These drivers just having a very pitched battle. Ladies and gentlemen, this is coming down to a flat-out street fight between these two drivers. And Ryan Hurricane is going to make a very aggressive move on the outside, squeeze Waddington a bit coming into the penultimate turn here, resulting in a little bit of a time loss. And Ryan Hurricane now posting a 129.321 in the Aston Martin for the fastest lap of session. And Waddington's going to come back on the inside entry to turn 1 on that hard tire compound and snatch pole away from Ryan Hurricane. Ryan Hurricane and him running side by side. Who's going to back out? It looks like Ryan is going to back out momentarily and cede that position to Waddington. Young maneuver now posting a 129.216. Oh, back end looking like it momentarily stepped out there for Waddington. Ryan just staying all over Waddington's gearbox, and he's going to go ahead and engage DRS and pull out to the left-hand side, and he's got him. Waddington staying right on him side by side. Turn 12. Who's going to blink here? Ryan forced to go wide up onto the curbing just a bit, but able to maintain position. Ladies and gentlemen, something to note about both these drivers. They're both extremely skilled, and that's the only thing right now saving these drivers from collision. Now Waddington's going to get DRS on Ryan Hurricane. Unfortunately, it's not going to be enough to get him by the end of the straight, and Ryan is going to hold on to P1. But Waddington having a look for that outside move going into turn 2. Calzone almost 3 seconds behind. A little bit of a battle forming up between Young Maneuver and XRL Low. Young Maneuver is going to pull out to the right-hand side, looking for the overtake into turn 1. Definitely setting up a very solid run on smooth. Low looking to get that position back from Young Maneuver. We're now 16 laps into this 29-lap affair. So far, very few time penalties. The last that I have knowledge of is level 6 Beastian with a 3-second time penalty. Other than that, these drivers doing a fairly good job of continuing to race cleanly. Young Maneuver closing to within 0.6 of a second on smooth. Ryan Hurricane now posting a 128.507 for the fastest lap of the race. That gap between him and Waddington now opened up to 1.5 seconds, as on the soft tire compound, Ryan is just able to run faster than Waddington. However, in the end, if Waddington can effectively manage his tires, that soft tire compound choice could potentially come back to bite Ryan Hurricane. And Ryan Hurricane also coming up on level 6 Beastian, having to yield to blue flag conditions, and he will go a lap down. Closest battle on track right now is going to be the battle between Smoothie 25 and Young Maneuver. Smoothie closing to within 1.2 seconds of Young Maneuver. Coming back to the rear of the field, we have XRL Zola. In P9, we have XRL Urtica. In 8th, we have El Yoy. 7th, we have XRL Low. Looks like we could see a potential challenge here between XRL Low and Smooth. Young Maneuver continuing to hold that gap of 1.6 seconds over Smooth. Young Maneuver 6 seconds back from XRL Mon. As we see now, the good chunk of the field has okay. We have a and it looks like level 6 Beastian has come around. It looks like he has lost his wing. That's going to be a forced pit stop for him. And it looks like that is going to definitively take McLaren out of the running. Unfortunately bad stroke of luck for level 6 Beastian. Okay, coming back to the front of the field, Ryan Hurricane has now opened up a commanding 3.2 second lead over Anthony Waddington. Again, it's going to be relative to how long that soft tire compound can hold out. Ryan Hurricane on the five lap old soft tire compound, whereas Waddington is on 5 lap old hard tires. Looks like we may have had another incident on track. Attempting to locate where that is. And I'm willing to bet that was Beastian, as he continues to limp his way around the track with that severely damaged front wing, going to force an additional pit stop for him. Closest battle on track right now is going to be the battle between XRO Low and Smoothie 25 for P6 and P7 respectively. Low being a bit conservative with that AlphaTauri machine, not pushing it to its full capability. He may be looking for Smooth to make a mistake that will open the door for him to grab hold of P6. And Caesar, thank you very much for that subscription to the Twitch channel. Always a pleasure to have subscriptions to the channel, as that does enable us to continue doing the absolutely awesome work we're doing. I hope very much that you're enjoying the stream. This race has certainly been a very big pleasure to commentate. XRL Urtica now closing to within 0.4 of a second of El Yoy. We're going to go ahead and take a look at this battle here. And Elyoy is going to come in and pit, presumably for the hard tire compound, enabling Urtica to snatch up P8. Looking at the next closest battle on the track, that's going to be again between XRL Low and Smooth. And Caesar has actually brought up a very interesting question in the chat about being intrigued if Ryan's soft tire compound is going to last. If I had to place a wager on that, I would say that this falls into Waddington's strategy a bit. I would think that in his mind right now, he's expecting that soft tire compound is going to die off, which will open the door for him to slide into P1. As both Calzoner and XRL Mon are also on the hard tire compound, but Waddington's hard tire compound being four laps fresher, so that again that could potentially open the door with now 8 laps remaining for Waddington to slide into P1 and potentially walk away with the race win here. So we're going to go ahead and jump up here and keep a bit of an eye on here. If Waddington did do this by design, it's an absolutely brilliant strategy choice on his part, forcing Ryan to outrun the life of his tires. But it's all relative to just how much of a gap Ryan is able to open up and how hard he's willing to push those tires. Waddington not in a position where he really has to push tires very much, as there is a 13-second gap between him and Calzoner. Oh, and there it is, ladies and gentlemen. There's the spin, and that is going to open the door for Waddington to slide into pole. Ryan caught out, forcing that soft tire compound. So as of right now, Anthony Waddington is our new race winner. 6 seconds back to Ryan Hurricane. Just a matter of if he can effectively manage that hard tire compound with now 7 laps remaining in this 29 lap affair. Ladies and gentlemen, I think we may be staring in the face of our race winner. Very unfortunate set of circumstances for Ryan Hurricane, as that spin will have caused those tires to heat up and wear significantly. That's not to say that if Ryan can effectively continue to get back into this race effectively, he could still have a shot at it. Closest battle on track right now between Young Maneuver and Urtica. Urtica with a 4.5 second gap, and Ryan Hurricane is going to come in suspecting that he's either going to go to another set of softs. Possibly he is going to go to another set of softs. With those fresh softs, he may now have what he needs to run down Waddington as he's dropped down. He has, however, dropped down into P4. We're definitely going to keep an eye on this with 6 laps to go. It's anyone's call at this point if Ryan can get enough of a run on him. Young Maneuver now posting a 127.953. Coming back up to Waddington, it doesn't seem that he's in any immediate danger. However, with Ryan's change onto the soft tire compound, he's going to have to make up a gap of over 30 seconds against three drivers ahead with the hard tire compound to possibly come back and snatch himself out of the jaws of defeat. And Waddington now coming into the pit. Looks like he may be coming in to go to the soft tire compound. And indeed, he is going to go to the soft tire compound, hoping now that he's going to be able to challenge Calzoner, as Mon's 14 seconds back, and Waddington is going to beat Mon out of the pit lane. And as it stands, Waddington is going to have to make up a 6-second gap over Calzoner on the medium compound. But we're expecting on this next iteration that Calzoner will come in and go to the soft tire compound. Ladies and gentlemen, we could be looking at a slugfest between our top 5, as we've now seen these times come down significantly. The top 5 all running within 5 seconds of each other. Ladies and gentlemen, this could be anyone's race. I'm willing to bet that Waddington is going to be able to pull this one out, because I can't imagine right now that Calzoner's 14-lap-old hard tire is going to be able to run another 5 laps. And it looks like we have an incident in Sector 2. See if we can get an indication of who that is. Not seeing anything. It looks like potentially a driver may have just gone wide, and Waddington now closing that gap to under 4 seconds to Calzoner. Calzoner may be forced to run those final 5 laps out on the hard tire compound. Definitely seeing a little bit of excitement starting to form in the stream chat. And Ryan Hurricane now posting a 127.875. Ladies and gentlemen, for a season opener, this race is definitely heating up. It all boiling down to strategy. And Waddington's gap to Calzoner ahead, now less than 3 seconds again on that soft tire compound. Waddington coming a bit wide into the sector 2 complex, shaving down that gap significantly now to just over 2 seconds. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I feel I have to say it at this point, but go Watto, go! And Waddington now closing that gap down to 1.3 seconds. Now down to a second, could potentially have DRS on the main straight. If Watto is able to get DRS, then sorry to say, it is all over for Calzoner. And Watto closing that gap down to under 1 second. He is going to have DRS. It all hinges on how he takes this turn. Now closing down to 0.7 of a second. He's going to have DRS 0.6. Waddington now posting a 127.667, closing to within 0.4 of a second. He's not going to get him by turn 1, but he could potentially get the switch back here. Now close to within 0.4 of a second on Calzoner. Oh, big back end squabble from Calzoner there. Calzoner definitely being put under pressure, trying to hold off Waddington, who is now close to within 0.3 of a second. Oh, another squabble on the back end of Calzoner. Calzoner potentially starting to panic just a bit, getting up onto the curb. Watto doing the smart thing and getting out of the way, not wanting to compromise his race. Waddington all over the gearbox of Calzoner. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, it's all coming down to this. Watto has got the DRS. He's going to go ahead and pull out to the left-hand side, and he is going to overtake Calzoner for P1. Ladies and gentlemen, we have a new race winner, Anthony Waddington, on that soft tire compound. Ladies and gentlemen, I do believe the race has been decided right here. If Waddington is just able to maintain for the next 3 laps, he is going to be our race champion. We now see that gap between Watto and Calzone opening up significantly. Looks like we have another battle forming between XRL Mon and Ryan Hurricane. Ryan Hurricane now having overtaken him for P3. Calzone is certainly pushing that Alpine machine for all it's worth, as he's a little bit of a back end swabble that causing that gap between Waddington and Calzone to open up to just under a second, with now 2.5 laps remaining in this 29 lap affair. Oh, Calzone catching a bit of the curb there. That gap now opening to 2 seconds, and I think that may have just spelled curtains for any hopes that Calzone had for the race win. That gap now opening to 2.5 seconds. There's that hard tire compound just simply not able to complete with the relatively fresh softs on Waddington's machine. Zola closing to within a second of XRL Ertica for P9. Waddington now able to take it nice and easy with that 3.2 second gap now opened up between him and Calzone. Almost 3 second gap between Calzone and Ryan Hurricane. 3 second gap back to XRL Mon. Nearly 12 second gap between P4 and P5. Lowe having struggled quite a bit today, unfortunately. A little bit less of a performance than what we're usually used to from him. A lot of drivers have had a very steep learning curve trying to get Bahrain figured out. As I said at the beginning of the broadcast, the damage model, tire model, and the handling characteristics of these cars significantly different. And it looks like Ertica is out. Looks like he spun and DNF'd at the midpoint of Sector 3, so that being a very unfortunate circumstance for him. XRL Zola is going to slide into P9, and Level 6 Beastian will take over P10. Ryan Hurricane now closing to within 0.9 of a second on Calzone with just 2 laps to go. Actually coming on to the final lap here. Waddington now with a 5-second lead over Calzone. Looking like some brilliant strategic decisions made by Waddington. We're going to go ahead and follow. Him for the final lap. Ladies and gentlemen, this has been a very exciting affair, and Ryan Hurricane getting a run on Calzone, closing to within 0.4 of a second on that soft tire compound. Looking like from the way Calzone has been running, that hard tire compound nearly dead. Typically the limit for the hard tire compound here at Bahrain is going to be about 18 to 20 laps, and Calzone doing everything he can to hold on to P2 at this point. He's just got to do it for half a lap more. It's all going to come down to strategic positioning of that Alpine for him to be able to hold on to P2. No time penalties, but Ryan doing the smart thing, continuing to put as much pressure on Calzone as possible, trying to force the mistake as they come into the penultimate turn here at Bahrain. And we're going to go ahead and follow Waddington through the final turn as he's going to streak towards the line, and it looks like Anthony Waddington is going to take home the race win at Bahrain. Following him over the line are going to be Calzoner and Ryan Hurricane. Ryan Hurricane's going to take... Oh, looks like Calzoner took it back from him at just the last second. XRL Mon going to come home in P4. XRL Low coming home P5. Young Maneuver bringing it home for P6 as he rounds out the penultimate turn. Smooth is going to take home P7. Oyoi is going to take home P8 as he gets ready to come into the final turn here. And Zola is going to bring home P9, and that will leave level 6 Beastian to P10. Congratulations to our race winner here, Anthony Waddington. I'm going to see if I can get him into the commentary box for a very brief post-race interview. Definitely have that about that strategy for him real quick. It looks like Waddington, oh, not quite sure where he went. Unfortunately, not able to pull Waddington in for an interview, but congratulations to him on what seems to have worked out as a very effective strategy here around Bahrain. And here in a moment, we'll take a look at the final standings for the race here. I hope you've enjoyed very much what you've seen this evening. Looking to be the first of very many exciting races here in the Xtreme Racing League North America division. Jubilation for some, desolation for others. And ladies and gentlemen, here are your final standings. Anthony Waddington, our race winner, Calzone and Ryan Hurricane rounding out P2 and P3, XRL Mon and Glow, followed by Young Maneuver, Smoothie 25, El Yoy, XRL Zola, Level 6 Beastie, and XRL Urtica and Fat Wardo. XRL Urtica having the fastest lap of the race with a 127.362. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much once again for tuning in to the Xtreme Racing Leagues. This has been XRL Raptor up in the commentary booth, and we'll hope that you'll tune in next Wednesday for round 2 at the Spanish circuit, and we will see you next week.